ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरुवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं वन्दे हरिः ओम्। 144th name of Lord Vishnu, Sahishnu, one who is capable of patiently suffering, is in his perfect detachment. All that is happening around is a Sahishnu. Whatever happens to the reflections of the sun in the cosmos is unaffected by them, and with reference to his reflections, we can call him a Sahishnu. The sun is a mere witness of his own endless reflections. The term has also got two more meanings in Sanskrit, as forgiver or conqueror. Vishnu is one who forgives us readily all our trespasses and conquers for us all the inimical forces in our inner personality. 145. Jagadadijah, one who had born Jah in the very beginning, Adi, of the world, Jagat, is called Jagadadijah. At the time of dissolution, Pralaya, when the entire gross and subtle bodies go to lie absorbed in the total causal body, the world in Pralaya lies merged in Ishvara. Samashti Karana Sharira Bhimani Atma Ishvara. Samashti Karana Sharira Bhimani Atma Ishvara. Purusha Prakrutistho hi bhumte prakriti jan gunam. Samashti Karana Sharira Bhimani Atma Ishvara. Before the gross world of plurality emerges out, there should be a condition of subtle manifestation of it in the form of thoughts. Thoughts constitute the mind intellect. When the infinite functions through this total mind intellect, it is called as Hiranyagarbha, the womb of all objects. Samashti Sukshma Sharira Bhimani Atma Hiranyagarbha. It is from Hiranyagarbha state the manifestation of the gross world emerges out. When the Lord comes to play as the Virat Atma, Mahavishnu is the one who was born before the world of gross bodies. Therefore, it is indicated here that he is the womb of all objects. In the world, the Hiranyagarbha, the very creator. 146. Anagha. Anagham means sin, pap, impurities, mala, and therefore Anagha means one who has no imperfections and who is not affected by the good and bad vasanas left over in the personality as a result of the willful actions. He is the uncontaminated aliptaha, the light of consciousness is the illuminator of the mind, and so the peace of virtue or the agitations of the sin cannot affect the illuminator being always different from the illuminated. Chandogya Upanishad 8.1.5 says, he is free from sin. (147) Vijaya, the victorious one who realizes the self can therefore thereafter stand apart who realizes the self can thereafter stand apart from the thraldom of matter, victorious over the tyrannies of the flesh, feelings of facts. Thus, the seat of self is the seat of victory over matter. The peace and harmony of the self can never be assailed by the noisy hordes of the world of morality. Vijaya is the name also of Arjun, and the Lord himself says, among the Pandavas, I am Arjun, Pandavanam Dhananjaya. Gita, chapter 10, stanza 37. 148. Jeta, ever successful. In all undertakings, he alone wins, one who never knows any defect or failure. Upanishad says, truth alone wins, never falsehood. Satyameva jayate nanrutam. 149. Vishwayonihi. It can be interpreted in two ways as he who is the cause of the universe and he who has the world as his cause. The former is clear to those who have so far followed the commentary, and to them the latter may be a very confusing statement. From the standpoint of the Puranas, it is logical. The self has manifested as the various incarnations from time to time because of the condition of the world, and therefore Vishwam is the cause for his manifestations. 150. Punarvasuhu, one who comes to live again and again in various equipments of living organisms is Punarvasuhu. Vasati iti vasuhu. Upendro Vamana Pransho Ramoghas Shuchirurjita Atendras Sangrahas Sargo Dhrutatma Niyamo Yama. 151. Upendraha, the younger brother of Indra. He is incarnation as Vamana. He was born to Aditi, who was the mother of Indra, and hence the Lord is known as the younger brother of Indra. In Sanskrit, the prefix upa denotes above in the sense of superior to. Therefore, Upendra may also mean one who is superior to Indra, the king of gods. Such an explanation we find in Harivamsha 76 to 47. Indra, the king of the gods, the sense organs, is the mind and the consciousness, which is the self, is the one factor that dynamizes the mind. Since life is that which controls even the mind, certainly it is superior to the mind, and this self is the Mahavishnu. 152. Vamanaha, of the 10 great incarnations, the fifth one is Vamana, and the very name indicates one who has a small body. It was in the form of a child. Vatuhu, a child student in a Gurukul, that Vamana approached the divinely righteous Emperor Mahabali to beg of him a little land of the length of his tiny 3 steps, and the Lord measured in his 3 steps all the 3 worlds, and thus conquered Mahabali. He checked Vamayati, the rising pride of possession, in Bali. Hence, he in that incarnation as a Vatu is called Vamana. The term Vamana also means worshipful. Madhye Vamana Masinam Vishve Deva Upasati. Him, the dwarf, sitting in the middle of the heart, all gods adore. So we read in the Kathopanishad 5.3. However, here the emphasis should be upon the meaning short statured because of the contrast it makes with the following name. 153 Pranshuhu. One whose body is vast is called Pranshuhu. Vamana, when he got the promise from the righteous king, and when he started measuring, the Lord took his cosmic form and with each step measured the earth, the interspace and the heaven. In Harivamsha 262-263, there is a beautiful description of the little Vamana growing into his total form. The rate of his expansion is described with reference to two fixed factors, the sun and the moon. When he took the form, the sun and the moon were his eyes. As he measured the earth, they came to his bosom. As he was measuring the space, the sun was at his navel, and as he lifted his feet to measure the heaven, the sun and the moon were just below his knees. 154 Amogha. One whose activities are ever a fulfillment of some great purpose. Even insignificant actions which ordinarily people would think are empty and purposeless are never really so. When they spring from him, even when he punishes, it is only for inaugurating a greater evolutionary blessing. 155 Shuchihi. One who is spotlessly clean and therefore ever pure. Impurities in a substance are things other than itself. When dust is on the cloth is impure, ashuchihi, unclean. Since the self, the Atman, is the non-dual reality, having nothing other than itself in it, ever pure alone must it always be, and ashuchihi is one who gives this purity of those who contemplate upon him constantly. 156 Urjitaha. One who has infinite strength and vitality. Wherever in the organism we meet with any strength and vitality, they are all the strength and vitality of the self. The infinite Vishnu is the one all-pervading self, and therefore he is the very spring-head for all strength. 157 Atindraha. One who is beyond Indra in knowledge, glory and strength. Since Indra represents the mind-intellect equipment, Atman, the self, is denoted here as that which transcends the mind. Ananvasthulamarasvadirgamajamauvyayam arupagunavarnakyam tadbrahmetiva tyavadharayeta. 158 Sangraha. One who holds the entire world of beings and things together in an indissoluble embrace unto himself, just as the hub of a wheel holds the rim unto itself by its endless spokes, so too the Atman, the self within, lends its vitality to every cell in the body and to every thought in the inner equipments. In none can anything happen which is not a glory borrowed from him. In none can anything happen which is not a glory borrowed from him, and the self being the same everywhere, in all existence, in both the movables and immovables, gross and subtle, in the manifest as well as in the unmanifest. He certainly is the one who holds the world of phenomena unto himself in a vast embrace of love and oneness. 159. Sargaha, one who has created out of himself the whole world. It therefore must also cannot one who has the whole created world as his own form, since the creation is his own manifestation as the subtle and the gross. 160. Dhrutatma, one who supports himself by himself. In the previous epithet Sangraha, he was shown as the cohesion of love in the world of matter and energy, and in Sargaha, he as the one material and efficient cause of creation was shown as also the very supporter of the manifested world, but who supports him. He is Dhrutatma, he is established in himself. Dhrutam Atma Yena Saha Dhrutatma. Niyamaha 161. The appointing authority. It is he who orders all the mighty forces of nature and prescribes for each the laws of their conduct, the ways of their behavior, and the methods of their functions. The sun, moon, air, waters, Dikpalakas, death, etc., are all appointed and ordered by the Lord. 162. Yamaha, one who is the mighty power that administers all the forces of nature under his law. Everything in nature strictly obeys ever all his laws. Stanza 18. Vedyo Vaidyas Sada Yogi Viraha Madhavo Madhu Atendriyo Mahamayo Mahotsavo Mahabalaha. 163. Vedyaha, that which is to be known in the language of the Gita, it is Gneyam, that final knowledge, knowing which everything becomes known. Kasminnu bhagavo vidyate sarvamidam vidyatam bhavati iti. Mundaka Upanishad 1.3. All sciences are investigations into truth. After observing the nature and behavior of things and beings, when the investigator moves ahead, seeking the one harmonious chord of reality that holds all phenomena in its inescapable love web, the scientist of truth comes to reject first the gross and soon thereafter the subtle realms and ultimately even the causal factors, and thus comes to apprehend this harmony which he is seeking as the very subjective core of his own self. This final goal is to be realized, having known which everything else becomes known. The one consummate knowledge is to be gained. Vedyaha is the self and great Vishnu. Self, the great Vishnu. 164. Vaidyaha, the one supreme doctor who alone can minister to the world suffering from ego and egocentric misconceptions. One who is a master of all knowledge, Vidya, is also termed as Vaidya. 165. Sada Yogi. To the confused and deluded, to detach themselves from the false vestures of matter and to seek their identity with the eternal self is called deluded and is called yoga. All attempts in attaining an atonement means at one ment with the self is called yoga. The goal, the self, therefore, is in the language of the seeker, must be Sada Yoga, ever in yoga, Sada Yogi. 166. Viraha. He who destroys the mighty heroes, the powerful men of strength and valor, when they grow in their audacity to become tyrants, the Lord manifests to destroy such Rakshasas and thus protects the Dharma and the good. 167. Madhavaha. Earlier this term was used 72 number name where we interpreted the term as the Lord of Lakshmi. Ma means not only Lakshmi but she is also Vidya, knowledge, the Lord Dhava of all knowledge. Ma is Madhava. This term is also interpreted in this way. Ma meditation, the introspection and Va uniting. Munadhyanacha. We have he who helps in introspection and meditation in the seeker is Madhava. To become conscious of the existence of a thing is called the knowledge of the thing. The Atman, the self, is existence, Sat, and consciousness, Spurana, and therefore Lord Vishnu, the self, is the source of all knowledge, and as such, the master of all Vidyas, Madhava. Harivansha says, O Hari, you are the Lord, Dhava of knowledge, Ma, and hence you are called as Madhava, the master of Ma. 168. Madhuhu. The term Madhuhu familiarly stands for honey. It is also a term to indicate nectar. One who generates nectarine bliss in the hearts of his devotees is called Madhuhu. The spring time in India is called as Madhu Masa, since spring is the season of flowers, full of honey for the bees and joy for man. The month called Madhu, March April, is the Chaitra month, which is considered especially auspicious for prayers and meditation. One who is of the nature of the Madhava Mass, the month of Madhava, April, May, can also be the suggestion in this term. Vaishakha, April, May, is considered as the most auspicious time of the year for the worship of Vishnu by all Vaishnavites. 169. Atendriya. One who is beyond the sense organs, not only in the sense that the sense organs cannot perceive him as their object, but also in the sense that he is other than the sense organs and their functions, lending to them all their very vitality is his mere presence. He is the very subject in the perceiver, and therefore the instruments of perceptions, emotions, and thoughts cannot experience him. This source of all life is Mahavishnu. Kathopanishad 3.15 says, He is soundless, untouched, formless, immutable, so without taste, eternal, smellless. 170. Mahamaya, one who is the supreme master of all Maya. He is the very substratum upon which all the plurality springs up and plays their infinite enchantments, constantly basking in the light of the supreme consciousness, Atman the Self, is untouched by the play of Maya, and yet the Maya play is sustained only by the exuberant warmth of His divine presence. The sun is the master of all clouds, inasmuch as it in its presence, borrowing its heat, water by its own nature gets evaporated, and the water vapor it again, because of its own nature of a lesser density than the atmospheric air, rises to the higher altitudes and gathers them gathers there as clouds. It is again the nature of the atmosphere that at higher altitudes it is cooler, and the water vapor so cooled becomes water again, and due to the higher density the water is it descends, and density of water it descends as rain. In this example, the sun can be called as the creator of all clouds and the clouds uh, and the cause of for the rains, and consequently the sun is also the master of the seasons, and yet the sun is uncontaminated by all these phenomena that are happening in its presence. In the same fashion, the infinite reality Vishnu is indicated here as the great magician who has the magic of Maya. At his command, Krishna himself confesses in the Gita, very difficult indeed it is to cross over my Maya, Mama Maya Duratteya. Gita chapter 7, stanza 14. 171. Mahotsaha, the great enthusiast, the ever dynamic accomplisher, the powers of creation, of sustenance, and of annihilation in their totality. It is a totality, in their totality, is the world of birth and death that we live in. This wonderful world cannot be sustained without the endless enthusiasm of this mighty power. Looking at the ocean through the waves, we come to recognize the ocean as the sleepless agitator. Similarly, looking at Vishnu through the ephemeral kaleidoscopic changes in the patterns of life available to us in our experience today. We call him as the dynamic accomplisher, Mahotsaha. The term employed here, the enthusiastic accomplisher, is indeed one of the most appropriate names of Mahavishnu. 172 Mahabalah, one who has supreme strength. He, being omnipotent, is the source of all strength that we see in each individual organism in life. His vitality reflected in each one of us in our individual strength. Naturally, he is the infinitely strong Mahabalah. Stanza 19. Mahabuddhir Mahaviryo Mahashaktir Mahadyutihi Anirdeshavapo Shrimanameyatma Mahadridruk. 173 Mahabuddhihi. In the previous term, we were told he is omnipotent. Here he is indicated as omniscient. The supreme functioning through the intellect is the intelligence. The quality and quantity of the intelligence will depend upon the condition of the intellect through which the infinite comes to play. The intelligence in a mathematician, poet, or an artist, scientist, or politician, all are the different play patterns of energies invoked from the one supreme intelligence, and therefore Mahavishnu, the Self, is called here as Mahabuddhi, the, the reservoir of all intelligence. 174 Mahavirya, one who is the supreme essence. Virya is the essence behind all the creative urges. Since the divine is the very source from which alone the dynamism for creation can manifest, the supreme divinity is termed here as the Mahavirya. 175 Mahashakti, all powerful. Power, Shakti here means efficiency, Samarthyam. He whose manifestations are the power of action, the power of desire, and the power of knowledge, Kriya, Kama, Jnana. Shakti must necessarily be the most powerful, inasmuch as the play of these three powers is the total play of the world. 176 Mahadyutihi, of splendorous light. Dyuti means glow. Shobha, the pure consciousness, is the illuminator of all, including all other material sources of light in the world, sun, moon, stars, fire, etc. But this is not all. He is also the one who is himself self-effulgent. This is Mahavishnu, the Supreme Self. In the Mundakopanishad 4.9, Lord is described as the light of lights. Brihadaranyaka 6.13 3.9 declares he is self-effulgent. 177 Anirdeshya Vapuhu, one whose form Vapu is indefinable, indescribable, inexplicable. Anirdeshyam, ordinary things can be defined, described, or explained because they come within our experience. Our objective experiences can be satisfactorily expressed in words. Vishnu is that truth which is the subjective essence in all of us. He is that knowledge. He is that knowledge in the light of which all other knowledges are rendered possible. As such, no sources of knowledge, pramanas such as direct perception, inference, etc., can be employed successfully in exploring the realm of the self. Subjective experiences of be the Mahavishnu, but it can never become an idea. Therefore, idea to express, nor can it become an emotion to feel, nor can it remain ever not, nor can it become ever hot, nor can it ever become an object to be described. 178 Shriman. Shri means glory, Aishwarya. Vishnu is permanently wedded to Mother Glory. He who is constantly courted by all glories, is Shriman, Lord Vishnu. 179 Ameyatma. He whose essence, Atma, is inestimable and immeasurable, Ameya, as Atman Kshetrajna, he, the one, expresses himself everywhere, in every equipment. Kshetra, as the knower in each field. Since these equipments are infinite in number in each field, since infinite in number as the individuality jiva in each one of the created beings, his own glory expresses in endless manifestations. 180 Mahadridruk, one who supports the great mountain. In the Puranas, we find two instances where the Lord has been described as the uplifter of, or as having lifted the supported the mountains. While churning the Milky Ocean with the Mandar mountain, we are told that the churning stick sunk into the bottom, and the Lord had to manifest in the form of the great tortoise, Kurma, and support it while the gods and demons continued the churning until they gathered the nectar, Amritam. Again, the Supreme, as Lord Krishna, in order to protect the cows, had to lift the Govardhan mountain Because of these two stories in the Pandavas, Lord, the protector of the mind in sadhana, is called the Mahadridruk. Vishnu is the divine that supports the mind intellect of the sadhaka while he is journeying through study, shravana, and perfection, manana, reflection, manana, his own milk like pure heart of devotion in order to gain the in order to gain the experience of immortality amrutam. Stanza 20. Maheshwaso Mahivarta Srinivasas Satangati Aniruddha Suranando Govindo Govidampati. 181. Maheshwasaha, one who wears or wields the great bow, also bow called Mahadruk, is also called great bow is bow called Sharanga. 182. Mahibharta, the husband of Mother Earth. The Sanskrit term for husband is Bharta, and the term denotes supporter. In the Puranic language, we have the description of how the Lord, as the great boar Varaha, uplifted the earth from the waters of Dilaj, viewed from the platform of philosophy. Just as gold is the supporter of all things made of gold, the infinite consciousness is the essence from which everything has risen. Hence, He is the Lord, the supporter, the husband, Bharta of Mother Earth and everything that exists in her. 183. Shri Nivasaha, the permanent abode of Shri. Mother Shri cannot all glory and power, faculties and strength to be good and to perform creative acts of righteousness. She is found to remain never permanently in any bosom. Even saints and sages in recorded history have come to compromise the perfections in them. The only place where imperfections never enter to molest the serene essence is the seat of eternal perfection, which is the bosom of Narayan. Hence, Mahavishnu is indicated as Srinivasa, the permanent abode of Lakshmi. 184. Satam Gatihi, for the truly virtuous and for all spiritual seekers. Sat means people, Sat people, he who is the final goal. In the language of the Gita, he is the Paragati. The term Gati is used to denote not only the goal but the very moment as well as the direction and the way. Narayana moment. Narayana is the very direction, path, progress and the goal for his devotees. 185. Aniruddha, one who cannot be obstructed or resisted by anyone. Irresistibly, the will of the Lord functions in the world of created things and beings, just as in the world of matter. The laws of nature are irresistible. The rhythm and harmony of truth ever march in their eternal logic of objectless love and immaculate perfection. Time and tide wait for none. When the sun rises, the living creatures absorb energy and nothing can obstruct their process. In the presence of the sun, the worlds of matter must get thrilled into their own independent activities, and in all this welter of efforts and exertions, achievements and failures, joys and sorrows, the self is not involved in the irresistible enchantment of his presence. The gopis seek their own fulfillment in this taking up in his various incarnations, different manifestations, different manifested forms, and in all of them he was victorious. Ever irresistible, Aniruddha is his might. 186 Surananda, the one who doles out happiness, Ananda, even to the denizens of the heavens, Suras. In the Upanishad, we have the declaration that the infinite perfection, the Lord, is of the very nature of absolute bliss, Anandam Brahmeti Vyajanata. In the Ananda Valli of the Taittiriya Upanishad, we find the arithmetic of bliss. The Rishi concludes that all joys of the world and heavens, mental and supernatural, are all but flickering to the infinite bliss, which is the Lord Mahavishnu. 187 Govinda. The word go in Sanskrit has four meanings: earth, cows, speech, and Vedas. As the earth is the supporter of everything that is existing, he who is the supporter of everything within the individual is called Govinda. He who is the protector of the cows and played the part of Gopala in Gokula is the very controller of the animal instincts and passions in the bosom of man, one without whom no speech can ever emerge out of any throat, he being the very life in all creatures. Yat vacha nabhyuditam yena vagabhyudyate tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedamedidam upasate. Kenopanishad 1.4 says, Kenopanishad, and the highest speech is the declaration of truth in the Vedas. The Lord Himself is the very theme and the author of the Vedas. This great self is Mahavishnu. 188 Govidam Patihi. one who is the Lord of all seers and men of wisdom. We have already indicated that go means Vedas, go with, Veda with. Those who have realized the theme indicated in the Vedic declaration as the essential reality in their own subjective bosom. They are called the seers of sages. To such men of wisdom, the self alone is the Lord and the Master. Stanza 21. Marichir tamono hansas suparno bhujugottama hiranyanaಭ sutapas padmanabha prajapatihi. 189. Marichihi. The term Marichihi means effulgence. Consciousness illumines objects, and therefore, in terms of worldly knowledge, the Upanishads declare that the Supreme is the light infinite. In the Gita, we read Bhagavan Vasudev declaring, I am the light in all effulgence. Tejas Tejasvinamaham. Gita chapter 10, stanza 36. 190. Damanaha. One who restrains and controls every rakshasic impulse within the bosom. In the forms of the 10 incarnations, we he had controlled. In the forms of 10 incarnations, he has controlled and control the irresistible tyrannies of the vicious against the good. In the form of pain and agitation, sorrow and death, it is he who is the controller, the manaha, of all negative tendencies in everyone's heart. Hamsaha. One of the great declarations of the Vedas is I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. Here the term I, the first person singular, used denotes the Supreme Self functioning through the conditionings. This individual concept is called Jiva. Thus I, the Jiva, Aham, once detached from the conditionings, is essentially nothing other than he. The Lord, Saha. This experience that Aham is Saha is the very God consciousness, and therefore Vishnu, the supreme state of realization, is declared as Hamsaha. 192. Suparna. Parna means wings. Suparna means that which has beautiful wings. A bird. A pair of white-winged birds, extremely friendly, sit on one and the same tree. One eats the fruits, the other eats not. The other eats not and gazes on. Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vruksham parishasvajate तयोरन्यः पिप्पलं स्वाद्वत्ति अनश्नन्नन्यो अभिचाकशीति. Mundakopanishad 3.1. Thus, traditionally in the Upanishads, the Suparnas suggest the Jivatman and the Paramatman sitting on the same tree body. One Jiva eats the fruits of actions, and the other, the self, merely gazes on Sakshi. Vishnu is this all experiencing principle of consciousness. 193. Bhujagotamaha, the sacred serpent named in the Puranas as Ananta. Among the serpents, I am Ananta, says Krishna. Anantaschasmi Naganam. Gita chapter 10, stanza 29. 194. Hiranyanabha, he who supports at his navel the creator Hiranyanabha. The meaning for this term is given by some is the one who has the navel. Given by some is the one who has the navel region beautiful in its golden hue, must fail in the context of the thoughts in the stanza to appeal to all seekers. 19th. Sutapaha. 195. Sutapaha, one who has glorious tapas. Consistent creative thinking is called tapas. For this, mental concentration is unavoidable. Mind cannot have consistent concentration unless it can have a perfect control over the sense organs. Even when the mind is withdrawn from the sense organs, it must have a consistent intellectual level ideal to concentrate upon. In the Upanishad, we read, he thought, and through thought, he created all this. Satapas taptva idametadasrujat. 196. Padmanabha, one who supports at his navel the very seat of all creative power. He has one who supports at his navel level the very seat of all creative power. We have described here this term earlier in name 48. According to Shankar, here the term may mean one who has the navel region, which in its rounded beauty is as charming as the lotus flower. 197. Prajapatihi, the Lord of the creatures, since all creatures have emerged from him. The living creatures are his children, Praja, and he is their Pati. The term Pati has a direct meaning, father. Thus Vishnu, as the only source from which all creatures have emerged out, is called as Prajapati. Stanza 22. Amrutyus sarvadruk simhas sandhata sandiman sthirah ajo durmarshana Vishrutatma surariha. 198. Amrutyuhu, one who knows no decay, birth, growth, decay, disease, and death are the five great modifications through which every finite object must necessarily pass. Everything born must perish. The one who has no birth has no death. The waves die, but not the ocean. That which is changeless is the changing. That which is changeless in the changing worlds of matter is the infinite Vishnu. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is emphatic. He who sees the changeless amidst the changing names and forms, he alone sees the meaning and purpose of life. Vinashatsva vinashantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. 199 Sarvadruk, the seer and knower of everything, the consciousness that illumines all motives and intentions and the manifested activities that spring from them in each individual at all times, is necessary, the witness of all, the seer of everything, Mahavishnu. 200 Simha, one who destroys the law behind all destruction and change is the Maya, is the mighty law. In the Maya is the mighty Lord, all transcending Lord of the, on transcending the vehicles of the body, mind, and intellect. At a time when all experiences of perceptions, emotions, and thoughts are annihilated from us, the experience left over is the Supreme, and in the non dual Supreme, there cannot be any object other than itself. Therefore, that state is called as the total destroyer. The state of waking is the destroyer of the dreams world, and the state of sleep is the destroyer of the waking and the dream. The state of God consciousness is the total annihilator of all the known three planes of consciousness. He is Simha, a word that has been formed by the mutual transposition of the letters in Himsa, even taking its obvious superficial meaning. Vishnu is a lion in our bosom, in as much as he is the king of the forest of Sansar. At the roar of Narayan, all the animal passions At the roar of the Narayan, all the animal passions flee from the jungles of the mind. In the Gita, while describing his own glory, the Lord says, among the animals, I am the king of animals, lion. Mruganam cha mrugendroham. Gita chapter 10, stanza 30. 201. Sandhata, the correlator, the regulator, the one who correlates the actions and their fruits. In fact, the fruit of an action is nothing other than the action itself. The action itself presents as its fruit in the different period of time maturing under its own law. This great law is the Lord, whom the devotee accepts as the giver of all fruits of action. Karmaphaladata Ishvaraha. 202 Sandhiman. The structural engineering of individuality is the mightiest of phenomenon available in nature. The Supreme is the law and the lawgiver, and the light of consciousness functioning in the mind and intellect itself is the individuality, Jiva, that comes to suffer the good and bad results of the actions. Thus, not only that it is he who is the giver of the results, but it is he again who is the enjoyer or the sufferer of the results. Hence, he is called as the one who is apparently conditioned by the actions that emanate from him. Sandhiman, enjoyer, conditioned. In fact, he is the one presiding over the illumining all actions, presiding over and illumining all actions. The very law of reaction itself, the ensuing experience in all actions of all people at all times, from the standpoint of our existence, with reference to our individual existence, the divinity in us for all appearances seems to be conditioned. This Sandhiman, the Jiva, in his own pristine purity, is Mahavishnu. 203 Sthiraha, firm, consistent, one who is ever consistent in his nature, and one who remains changeless at all times. 205 at all times. 204 Ajaha, unborn. Ajaha is also a term denoting the creator, Brahmaji, he who in the form of Hiranyagarbha apparently creates the delusory world of plurality is Vishnu. 205 Durmarshanaha, one who cannot be attacked and vanquished. All the in the long run, everyone in his own maturity will have to come and accept the accept and walk the path of Vishnu. He is the final goal. In the lesser levels of evolution, the animal man may deny himself the peace and joy of living the spiritual values, and deluded by the senses and meant by the flesh, enchanted by the flesh, he may live a life of sense joys and temporary fulfillments, but soon enough, irresistibly, he will be seeking the feet of Vishnu for real happiness and true achievement. His also is the final victory, and one can stand apart from him in a victory over him. 206 Shasta, one who rules over the universe. Not only that, he is the administrator of the laws of the phenomenon, but also he is the Shasta. He is the one who, through Shastra, with firm hand, instructs the guide and guides us through the righteous path. Jaya Shri Ram, Jaya Raghuram, Janaki Jeevan Sundar Ram, Devaganarchita Jaya